Hi, my name is Kevin Keller. I'm field agronomist with Pioneer out of South Central Nebraska. And this week's agronomy focus is brought to you by the Nebraska Soybean Board. So we're just outside of the Holdrege area right now. We're just north of town and we're out in a field. This is one of our higher producing areas within the state. And as we're thinking about that, we're wanting to evaluate all sorts of things. So this year in Nebraska, we've had some challenges, whether if you're out west and it's been really dry, or if you're in some of the areas like we're at right now where we've had plenty of rainfall, it's been a little bit cooler. So some things that I'm looking at as I evaluate stands is, first of all, how did the planter do? Those are things that we can take note of for next year if we need to make some adjustments with our planting depths, what we're using for down pressure, if we're seeing some sidewall going through some of these wetter conditions. But more so, what I'm also looking at is, am I picking up on any sort of diseases? Taking note of those type of things now can help pay off for the future. Just a reminder of, hey, am I dropping even enough for stand for the conditions that we face in Nebraska? And am I using the right seed treatment? So as far as looking at stand counts and evaluating what we're seeing behind the planter, I always like to dig up the soybeans and see, first of all, do we see any sidewall compaction? Then I know if I need to adjust for future for planter settings if we're using too much down pressure and we're allowing for good rooting, because that's one thing we don't want to see is sidewall compaction. From a general stand evaluation standpoint, depending on what your row widths are, there are plenty of tools online that you can look up to see, hey, what's 1/1000th of an acre, or if I'm using a tape measure like I'm showing here. For an example, these are in 30-inch rows. I know that 17 feet 5 inches is exactly 1/1000th of an acre. So if I did 17 feet 5 inches, I would just multiply by 1,000 to get my stand. Right now, we're actually early enough where we're starting to see some early nodulation. That starts fairly early in that soybean life. I want to gently pull up the plant so I'm not pulling those nodules off. Dig them up and shake the soil off if you can gently. A few things that I look for is that early formation and nodulation on the beans. Now, this doesn't mean every field's going to be at the exact same stage where we're going to see that early nodulation formation quite yet, but we should be starting to see that. So if we're not seeing that and the beans are maybe starting to look a little bit peaked, they're not really that deep dark green, that might be the first indication that, hey, maybe we need some help with some nitrogen out here, some help with getting these beans to start to nodulate. And with that, there are some tools that we can look at utilizing to help bolster that early nodulation if we need to. So with the stand count evaluations out in the field, it's just really good information for a grower to get an idea of, hey, if I drop X amount of seed, this is kind of what I expect to get out of my soil conditions, my area that I'm in. We know some of the higher pH areas out there are going to require a little bit more just to help those plants out, some of the tougher conditions, but it's really just a nice way to see, hey, are you satisfied with the stand that you have? And also as that relates to things like weed control and canopy. If we're a little bit light on stand for various reasons, we might almost start to think about, hey, do I need to modify what my post-herbicide applications look like to make up for that? So there's a lot of different decisions that can be made just right now, evaluating what we have both for this year, but also for future use as well as we look into next planting season. Thank you for watching the Agronomy Update, brought to you by the Nebraska Soybean Board.